Osiris.
Hello and welcome. This is your dear friend, Karina Rykman. It's such a pleasure to be here, and I'm welcoming you back once again for this week's episode of Inappropriate Happiness. And I am joined by my dear friend on a couch just adjacent from the one I'm on, my dear friend, Isaac Slone.
Karina, there were days and there were days between. How's it going?
Yo, ain't that the truth, my brother? It's going great. It's going great. We're chatting here on a delightful Tuesday afternoon. Am I right?
Yeah, it's Tuesday. It must be Tuesday.
It must be Tuesday. You got me twisted again. There's no occasion like right now, Isaac. This is great. This is good stuff. No, it's been a beautiful day. We're here. We are large and in charge. We have had seemingly endless days, seemingly endless nights, and now it feels like, I can breathe again, That's sort of how I'm feeling. I don't know about you.
Oh, yeah. No, it's definitely a come down after you go to live music for 9 nights, and then you're just sitting on the couch like, all right.
Okay.
That was awesome.
It's like, wow, what a wild and crazy time to be alive. And then I went and I played, I'll tell you, Isaac, I'll tell our fine listeners. I'm gonna lay my cards out for all of our fine listeners before we delve into the news and things that are new and exciting. I played a festival this weekend in Johnstown, Pennsylvania. It's called the Flood City Music Festival. Delightful festival with a sub drummer. So my dear friend Chris Corsico, my normal drummer, he has been on tour with another band in in Europe, and he will be there for the next 2 weeks or something of that variety. So I, sadly, subbed him out for 2 shows with another dear friend of mine, Mr. Zach Pockrose, on the drums and cymbals. So my conception of this, Isaac, was, okay, we got a sub drummer, not a lot of time to get him up to speed. So what I'm going to do to make this as easy as possible and, make it as good as possible and as easy as possible, in my head, I was like, okay, the first gig with him, there are 2 gigs, right? First one was this Flood City this past Saturday, 2-hour slot. Next gig is this Saturday, 1-hour slot. So I was like, okay, Zach, learn this set of music. It's an hour-long set of music, right? And we are just going to turn this hour-long set into a 2-hour set by the virtue of jamming.
That is a tall order for a well-oiled machine. Never mind a band with a sub drummer playing a summer festy.
Wouldn't you say? It's really a bold call.
But I commend you for making that choice because, I think also why not? It's kind of fun to experiment when you have the opportunity to.
That's what it felt like to me. It felt like both a bold call and like a lunatic decision, and also sort of a moment for exploration that maybe I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And, I was ready to go balls deep and see where we landed. So what happened was I played, 2 hours, 6 to 8 p.m. on the main stage, the Budweiser stage, right before the Spin Doctors, right? And this is, one of these sort of soft ticket, like town square, like yearly festivals where like the town comes out and there are plenty of people, in their 50s, 60s, and 70s in lawn chairs.
By the way, an underrated type of event.
Couldn't agree more. Love being at them, love performing at them. It's fantastic. But what we delivered for this poor, unsuspecting audience, it was perhaps my most, interplanetary space noises and just general absolute lunacy up there that I can recall, even back in the days where, I used to play New Blue from, 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. with my band, back in those days. That didn't even come close to how absolutely out of control to outer space and back I felt like we went in these 2 hours.
Well, as your archivist, I'm
Yes.
actually really delighted that such a thing exists, and I hope if there were any tapers in the audience, a tape winds up somewhere, because, being able to point to the epic summer of 2022 in Karina's career and say, yeah, and that one festival slot in Johnstown, Pennsylvania, when they took it into outer space for a 50-minute version of Plants.
I mean,
that'll be a fun thing to have.
That's what I felt like. It was something for the kids,
No, it really is.
It was something to harken back to an older form of the band and whatnot. But also, I'm not going to lie to you, Isaac, my banter was absolutely unhinged. And so for the fine folks of Johnstown, Pennsylvania, they were treated to such, stylings. It was crude. It was just baseless. It was absolutely bizarre. There was a moment where the train went by and I'm standing up there and the train is going by on my left and I halted the set and I said, hang on everybody, hang on. We obviously can't play with the train going by. We have to, show our respect to the train. Let the train have its moment. And I just stood there in silence and I let the train keep going. And then I stepped up to the mic and, nobody understood the reference, but I sang a moment of the verse of Train Song by Fish, right? Maybe one heady guy kind of got it, right? Good talk. And then I stepped away and then I said, okay. We're going to get back into this. The train and us can coexist. And then at that moment, the train, honked, if you will, or sounded its, It made the train sound, and of course I took the opportunity in front of all the old people to be like, yeah, honk if you're horny, motherfuckers, and then went right into the next song. So I don't know what brought this all out of me, but I just wanted to let our fine listeners know and the fine people of Johnstown, Pennsylvania know, and just, thank you for sitting with me in this very, to me, hilarious, exploratory, interesting. I had a great set with that sub. Zach Pockrose really did it up. I was in a mood and a half, and I leaned into it. It was like a set that I thought Gigi Allen would be proud of. You know what I mean?
Well, you were recently courted by a comedian to open for him, right? Is that true?
So correct. Have we talked about this on the podcast?
We haven't.
Oh my God. Well, guys, I'll tell you what. Sometimes your girl, me, sometimes I'm like, I'm a lot funnier than I am a good musician. Like, I don't know. But of course, being, funny in the context of a conversation with your friend doesn't necessarily translate to having a good set of material on the stage. But, I've been joking about doing a tight 5 comedy routine in front of people for a long time, right? That's a thing comedians do. Especially a lot here in New York City where there's a lot of comedy. People go up, they do what they call a tight 5, right? So yeah, the other night, his name is TJ Miller. You might know him from being famous, but TJ Miller is a comedian and he's on that show Silicon Valley and he was in Cloverfield and, Google him. You'd know his face. I met him at The Stand, a great comedy club on 16th Street here in Manhattan, right by Union Square. And the owner of the club introduced me, blah, blah, blah. We were good to go. He was like, hey, this is Karina. She's a rock star. He's like, oh, yeah? What's it like being a rock star? How do you like it? I'm like, oh, it's fantastic. I mean, people suck your dick everywhere you go. You get cold burgers, warm beers. It's fantastic. Great way to live. And then they're both laughing. And then he was like, well, you are pretty funny. And then the owner of the club was like, Karina wants to do a tight 5, half joking, blah, blah, blah. But then this gentleman, TJ Miller, was like, well, seriously, would you? And I was like, yeah. And he says, I'm doing a show in Long Island tomorrow. If you're around, I'd love to have you do a tight 5 and open for me, like full comedy. And I'm just like, oh my God, TJ, thank you so much. And I would be so down if I wasn't heading to see Dead and Company tomorrow. But man, thank you for the offer. What a beautiful offer. And he looked at me like, wait, what? And I was like, don't worry about it. It's all good.
Yeah, he puts Dead and Company into
Google. Totally.
Aye. So it's like, wait, what?
It felt like a great bridging of the two desires, just to make people laugh and to make people dance. The literally only 2 things I care about. So.
Well, speaking of bridging desires, making people dance, making people laugh,
Tell
being
me.
blown into other stratospheres.
Yes.
Yesterday, I awoke to the announcement that Joe Walsh will be reuniting with the James Gang one night only, November 13th of this year, at the Nationwide Arena in Columbus, Ohio.
Huge deal. Accompanied by
The Nine Inch Nails, the Black Keys, and the Breeders.
Dude, the Nine Inch Nails.
The Nine Inch Nails.
They are the fucking best. I mean, Isaac texted me this, hours before I woke up, right? But then I woke up to this text, and I was straight blasted to bits, as I would say. And I went into a whole other dimension. If you don't know, now you know. I'm, such a huge Nine Inch Nails fan. Nine Inch Nails does it for me. That's a big, big part of my musical fabric. Trent Reznor's musical stylings, right? But also James Gang, Joe Walsh. Joe Walsh, I literally for years cited Joe Walsh as my favorite guitar player.
Oh, totally. I remember you suggesting I buy a $125 ticket to see Bob Seger because Joe Walsh had a 40-minute opening set.
Oh, yeah.
And it was totally worth it. I mean, it was completely worth it.
Was that not the best?
This was many, many years ago.
Many.
And I was like, Karina, what are you talking about? But then we actually also really had a good time with the Bob Seger set.
Oh, and Bob threw down. Joe threw down. I'm such a huge fan. I've seen Joe Walsh at the Paramount in Long Island. That's
a great venue to see him at.
Dave Drywitz and I went and saw him in the front row at the Beacon Theater, which was the best time to be alive. Seen him at the Cap. I used to follow Joe Walsh around now that we think about it.
Totally.
And actually, just
seen him with the Eagles?
With the Eagles, of course, 2 or 3 times, which was fantastic every time. And, it's funny, as we say, Joe Walsh is sort of one of these characters. Of course, he's not the most technically proficient guitar player, but there was something I connected about his absolute just sort of lunacy and, he has a very funny and sort of, I don't want to say frazzled, but just an energetic, crazy demeanor about him, and that comes through in his playing that really resonated with me.
Oh, completely.
As a kid.
Totally. No, yeah, I was a kind of a funny segue to go from talking about your opening Tight 5 to Joe Walsh, but at the same time,
it makes all the sense
in the world because he is a hilarious man who plays guitar very well.
Right? He kills it. It's so great. Frenetic. Frenetic is a good word, maybe, to describe his stylings. I just think he's so, so great. I love him. And of course, we love the James Gang forever. And this is a momentous occasion that the James Gang is getting together to whoop it up for us. Isaac, I'm not going to lie to you. I think we should go to this.
I'm fully prepared to go to this.
This is a Sunday, for those of you wondering. Never miss a Sunday, Joe Walsh. And I haven't been this excited about a bill in a long time. How's that for sad?
No, I mean, it's really quite exciting. And it is for a good cause. It's a concert for our veterans. It benefits Vets Aid. I also haven't seen the Nine Inch Nails in the post-COVID touring times.
Right.
And I'd love to see the Nine Inch Nails, love to see them with you, and to see them in the context of these other bands is going to be a very special night in Columbus, Ohio, which I've never been to, but I look forward to being there with you on November 13th.
It's a beautiful thing. Beautiful thing. And then moving right along, Isaac. I mean, there's a lot to talk about there, but there's actually one, thing on a bit of a more serious note that I feel like we should touch on, which is that in Piedmont Park, which is a public park in Atlanta, Georgia, there was going to be a festival called Music Midtown. That here's what they say. It says Music Midtown has been canceled due to Georgia's gun laws making it impossible for Live Nation to bar firearms from Piedmont Park, a condition required by many artists' concert riders. Live Nation had previously been looking for a new venue for the event, but simply ran out of time. Oh, Lord. I mean, this event, by the way, just for the record, was to be headlined by My Chemical Romance, Jack White, Mitski, Fall Out Boy, Phoebe Bridgers, Conan Gray, Mark Rebier, 2 Chainz, Louis the Child, Turnstile. I mean, lots of bands, great bands, and acts and whatnot. And, I mean, what a scary, strange, world we are living in such that this is the case. And now, dollars lost from artists' pockets, music lost from your ears, and a lot of questions that should be addressed.
Yeah, terribly unnerving and very confusing.
Jeez. I mean, I make a lot of this. It just the fact that it was in a public space and they couldn't regulate a public space, basically. And of course, I mean, yes, artists have in their writers that firearms should not be present at the events that they play. I mean, call me old-fashioned.
Well, I know, right. And it's also just like adding to the artist's need to speak to more political things, right? That can't just be common sense and agreed upon.
Certainly. I mean, it just feels really unbelievable. And I feel bad for everybody that was going to be attending the event. I feel bad for all the artists that were ready to play. All the dollars lost, all of the music lost, and over something so, in my mind, trivial and unnecessary. So,
it also begs the question of how will 420 Fest that happens in Atlanta every year go on? Will it face similar predicament?
Sure, absolutely. And, they put on lots of festivals down there, in public grounds, and it's just like it begs the question, like, what are we gonna do, people? We gotta figure this out. It's just so unreal to think that these laws are dictating things as enjoyable as a music festival, and by the way, lucrative, and this is people's jobs, people's lives, all the people working the event. You know what I mean? It's not just the artists playing. It's the ushers and the security and all the local hands and all of the IATSE people. Like, this is like, it stems, I mean, it goes really deep. So I don't know. I don't even know, but I feel terrible for the state of things and such that's the case.
And also just making sure that attendees and musicians and all involved feel comfortable and safe at the event that they're working so hard to attend or put on or perform at. I mean, it's just the kind of foundation to what we do is that it's a safe, fun, enjoyable thing where you feel comfortable, and I don't know how this news of this cancellation will travel. It may just be a sort of flash in the pan with other kinds of cancellation announcements, but I'm when you mentioned it, I thought we have to call attention to it when we talk today, because this is kind of the first I've heard in a long time of something like this happening, and important to acknowledge and keep an eye on in terms of how gun reform in the country progresses and how concerts are kept safe.
No kidding. And I'm very glad, even on our small platform here, that we, made mention of it, because it feels important and like too big of a deal to breeze by. So, fellow listeners, there you have it. That's our downtrodden piece of news for this afternoon here. But we also have a lot of concert announcements that just happened that we're kind of really excited about on a much brighter note. And we can do sort of a rapid fire, just get your brains, around all of this fun stuff that could be coming your way. Again, nothing we like more than for you and us and everyone to enjoy music safely, comfortably, and with great pleasure. So without further ado, Isaac, do you have some hot goss for the people?
Well, as I opened the podcast with a reference to, these are the days between Jerry Garcia's birthday, August 1st, and the day he passed, August 9th. They are much sort of acknowledged and celebrated days in the Grateful Dead community, and part of that celebration comes with the announcement that Jazz is Dead is going to celebrate their 25th anniversary with a bi-coastal tour. They'll be playing both coasts with Alphonso Johnson, Steve Kimmock, and a couple of other fantastic musicians. Alphonso Johnson being a jazz bass player that was in Weather Report for a while.
Beautiful.
Steve Kimmock, obviously very familiar to the jam scene. And yes, they do jazz interpretations of Grateful Dead songs. And it's been a rotating cast of characters, this group. I know them best from when Jimmy Herring was in the band, and that music is just really cool, very spacey, psychedelic jazz versions of Dead songs. So
Totally.
check them out early next year, or January 2023. I think it's a cool project, and I hope to see it when they come to New York.
100%. 100%. On a very different note, this got announced today, and I'm inappropriately happy about it myself. Dia de los Deftones.
Oh, wow.
It's the 3rd annual Dia de los Deftones, Deftones being a band near and dear to my heart. It is taking place at Petco Park in San Diego. Check out this lineup. This will feature performances from the Deftones, Turnstile, Phantogram, Freddie Gibbs. That is an eclectic, delightful day of music right there. That is a dia that I would like to be a part of. Stat. I mean, we have hip hop, we have very heavy music, we have Phantogram, which is awesome, super shimmery. I would refer to it as indie pop music. I think that's so fucking cool all around. And, Isaac and I saw the Deftones a couple months back. I don't know if you fellow listeners recall, but we had a lot to say about it, and we liked it a whole lot. Holy
Did you
shit.
say Petco Park?
Petco Park, baby.
I'm so glad Petco has a park.
Dude.
That the Deftones play.
Fucking Petco Park. I'll see you there, man. So great. So that's my, in our rapid fire of announcements, that just came through, and I'm way about it. Not that I'm a coast away, but I throw my horns up with the Deftones. And that is happening, by the way, on, I have it. It's on November 5th. Boom. So, if you're feeling frisky, you go to that on November 5th. You go to Columbus on November 13th for James Gang and Nine Inch Nails. I mean, these are the days of our lives here. This is great.
Speaking of, local festies where people set up lawn chairs and listen to music.
Yes, sir.
An artist that I very much admire, who I find to be underrated, Richard Thompson,
Boom,
is playing 3 nights at Symphony Space here in New York City, which is a venue which is the Upper West Side equivalent of the Johnstown, Pennsylvania festival you played.
So accurate.
Where you can go see everything from a juggling show for kids to a poetry reading to Richard Thompson.
Totally.
He does a all acoustic request show where he puts, you can, write down the name of a song you want to hear, put it in a hat, and he will play it to the best of his ability. Whether it's his song or a cover, he will try his best, and I've seen him do that on several occasions. I can't tell you how much I love this man. He's a brilliant songwriter, an amazing guitar player. Richard Thompson, a lot of people don't know who he is. If you're listening and you're curious, check him out. He has a lot of great music over very many years.
It's a beautiful thing. And, recommendation from Isaac, you got to take that shit seriously, y'all. Because Richard Thompson, I mean, it's incredible music. Isaac's much more studied, but everything I've heard, I mean, it's incredible. Get it while it's happening, y'all. And for the record, I graduated from high school in Symphony Space.
Oh, really?
So, roots run deep, people. I gave my speech there in front of the whole school. Good times. So, you can think about that when you're listening to Richard Thompson tear your ass up.
It's so not what's going to be happening. It's going to be more like Richard Thompson, wind yourself down.
Wind yourself down and turn yourself out. Oh, no. Wind yourself down. Sorry. You're right. Yeah, it's going to be a chill, acoustic, all request, turn your ass up festival. Sorry, just kidding. Good talk. Well, Isaac, these are great concerts. Amazing things happening in wonderful places.
I agree. I'm looking forward to going to maybe some of what we talked about today.
Maybe some of.
I do think we should make it to the James Gang show. Maybe we should just record Inappropriate Happiness live from the lot in Columbus, Ohio.
Dude, just as a voice memo on one of our phones, just tear it up. We just talk into the phone. It's going to be mixed horribly. It doesn't even matter because the spirit of Joe Walsh will be in the phone.
That's how I feel about it, actually.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. I think it's a wonderful call. And I mean, shit. I feel like we might have reached the end of our road here, Isaac. What do you have any, burning things you need to get off your chest for the people?
I really don't. I think
fantastic.
I kind of hit it with the acknowledgement of Petco Park.
Petco Park really did it for us today.
That was really burning.
Yeah. From Piedmont Park to Petco Park, there is no shortages of parks with the P names, and it's just a delight to get to talk about them. Well, we gotta say that this show could not happen without our brilliant, talented, spectacular editor and producer, Marlo Shankweiler. We thank you, Marlo. And by the way, we thank her parents, because not only did they spawn her, but they are fervent listeners of the podcast. And hello, Mark. Hello, Tara. How you doing, baby?
I'm taking Tara to go see Bruce and the E Street Band
Oh,
at the Barclays Center.
Tara, tell
Very
me, are
that.
you excited? I'm brimming with excitement for you. That's fantastic. For everybody, these people, they're spectacular people. Their offspring is spectacular as well. We couldn't do any of this without them. And we need to thank Brian Brinkman. I don't know his parents, but thank his parents too, man. Thank you, parents. I mean, they produced a wonderful gentleman who puts us on. Wonderful dude. Thank you, Brian. Thank you, RJB. Thank you, everybody at Osiris. We really are thrilled to be here. And it's an inappropriately happy podcast. It really is. We're thrilled to be able to wax poetic on things important and things fun and jubilative all the same. So, Isaac, the hell, man. This is a beautiful time.
It really is a beautiful time. I'm eagerly anticipating the tape from your 2-hour, 1-hour, jam-filled festival set from last Saturday.
Thanks, pal. And for those of you, yes, the gig this Saturday, for those of you listening, if you're anywhere around Hamilton, Ohio, I'm opening for Spafford. And I'm not going to try and turn the 1-hour set into a 2-hour set. I'm literally going to play the 1-hour set with the sub drummer. We're really looking forward to being there, and excited to see the gentleman in Spafford, and excited to, be in Hamilton, Ohio. It's a really beautiful little town. The stage is right by the river. It's called River's Edge, something or other. River's Edge. We love it. Thanks, River's Edge. And yeah, man, I can't wait to play more gigs. I can't wait to chop it up with you. And I feel like this is this week, man. It's a beautiful, beautiful episode. Thank you so much for listening, all you out there. We feel so connected to you, even though we can't see you, but we know you're there. And thank you so much for listening.
Be well and have so much fun.
Bye. Honk if you're horny, motherfucker!
Osiris.